Dracula, Frankenstein, the Wolfman, Dr. Jekyll, and Mr. Hyde. For as long as we have been afraid of the dark, we have filled it with monsters. They have inspired countless books and plays, what some would call works of fiction. Yet it has only been in the past 100 years, through the miracle of motion pictures, that mankind has given a face to its fear. Ironically, it was Thomas Edison, one of the men responsible for inventing the movies, who created the screen's first genuine movie monster. Even before movies could talk, audiences had learned how to scream. Based on Mary Shelley's 19th century novel about a medical student who creates a living corpse, Frankenstein frightened early cinema audiences out of their seats. Ran just over 10 minutes. Edison's Frankenstein proved that moviegoers had an appetite for terror, and early filmmakers scoured bookshelves for other strange and eerie ideas. Perhaps the most popular of all the early screen monsters was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. Based on the novel by Robert Louis Stevenson, the tale of a scientist who seeks to liberate his evil nature was filmed no less than 7 times by 1920. Seen here is the most popular silent version, starring John Barrymore. Another classic screen monster to emerge in silent film was Dracula. More rodent than Romeo, Shrek's scream vampire offered a disturbing characterization, devoid of humanity or pathos. But of all the actors who sacrificed good looks for screen chills, one of the best was surely the great Lon Chaney. Famous for creating elaborate and often painful makeups, Chaney specialized in playing grotesque and macabre figures. Dubbed the Man of 1,000 Faces, Chaney played everything from scar-faced gangsters to deformed cripples. But one of his greatest roles was the Hunchback of Notre Dame. The Hunchback of Notre Dame was an unprecedented hit, and Lon Chaney became the screen's first horror superstar. Equally effective was Chaney's performance in The Phantom of the Opera as Eric, the mask-wearing madman whose obsessive love turns to murder. Chaney's famous unmasking scene created one of the great screen moments and revealed one of the great screen monsters of all time. But with the age of sound came a new dimension in horror and a new voice for monsters.
I am Dracula.
Starring the Hungarian-born Bela Lugosi as the undead aristocrat, Universal Pictures presented Dracula as their first all-talking supernatural thriller. Unlike Max Schreck's more gothic interpretation, Lugosi's Dracula offered sex appeal and a dash of continental charm. It didn't hurt that Lugosi had created the role on Broadway and had been born and raised in the real-life shadows of Transylvania. Released on Valentine's Day, 1931, Dracula was billed as the strangest love story ever told and quickly became a box office success. Wasting no time, Universal announced plans to feature Lugosi in yet another gothic horror role as the monster in Frankenstein. But after Bela balked at a part which required no dialogue, the project's new director, James Whale, scouted around for a suitable replacement. Who he found was a 43-year-old actor named Boris Karloff.
It's alive! It's alive! It's alive!
This is the story you've heard about, talked about. The spine-tingling, blood-chilling story that stuns your emotions. Frankenstein.
Don't touch that!
With imagery inspired by German expressionist films like The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari and The Golem, Frankenstein offered spectacular visuals and genuine thrills. Frankenstein was an even bigger success than Dracula, and out of the ashes of the film's fiery climax, the Universal monster movie was born. In rapid succession came other classic creatures like the Mummy.
Is it dead or alive? You'll feel the awful, creeping, crawling terror that brings a scream to your lips.
The Invisible Man and the Werewolf. There was even
Dracula! He's come back.
Dracula's daughter.
Do you like jewels, Lily? This is very old and very beautiful.
Please don't come any closer.
Master of Horror Vincent Price was also a Yale grad who acted as an advisor to the White House on Native American art. We'll be back with more Monster Mania on AMC's Hollywood Lives and Legends.